Welcome to the Democratic Services Committee on Monday the 10th of January 2022. Shall we start with apologies for absence?
Thank you, Chair. Apologies for absence from Councillors Wendy Lewis and Sue Jones.
Thank you. Nobody else? It's a shame. Are there any disclosures of personal prejudicial interests?
Do we have to declare an item on item 4?
I would suggest a personal for all of you there.
Right. Yeah,
That's true.
Shall we look at the minutes? The last meeting, which was on the 8th of November 2021. Shall we do it page by page? Is there any items on page 1? Page 2? Everybody? Page 3? Page 4? Does anybody like to move?
move.
Is the correct record?
Yeah.
A second?
Second.
Thank you. That item done. The next item, item 4, is the Councillors' ICT allowances policy.
Right, over to me. Thank
Yes.
you very much. Well, Happy New Year to everyone to start with. This report, if you recall, was presented to you short time back, but you decided not to consider it at that time, but to refer it to a group made up of the political group leaders and anybody the group wanted to send to that meeting. So that meeting took place back in December, and from there they made a number of recommendations. Those recommendations, or suggestions, whatever you want to call them, are set out in paragraph 5.3 of the report. In a nutshell, they are suggesting that we stick with the current arrangements of all councillors purchasing their own devices using the ICT allowance. However, in exceptional circumstances, the head of digital and customer services, in consultation with myself, may permit a councillor to receive council permitted equipment. Also, for the head of digital and customer services to review the payments under each aspect of the council ICT allowance and to feed those new figures, should they be amended, into the budget process. So they won't be set out today because obviously that piece is ongoing. And the third one, that the head of digital and customer service provide a good habits helpful guide to councillors, setting out things such as backup and sync, just to try and make things a little easier for people. And finally, that the modern.gov software training be added to the councillor and an induction programme to try and shift people to make it easier on how to use technology. On top of those recommendations, the group leaders felt that the way we manage the and those who attended the meeting, they like the way we deliver ICT to councillors, because they feel it allows the freedom for councillors to use devices they're comfortable in using, and it avoids us providing them as a council, which would, if we did provide council equipment, you'd be quite locked down and you'd directly have to have several devices, a personal device to do things you want to do, and then a council device. So our approach, whilst it's innovative, it allows you the flexibility to do things. So that's a point I want to make, and then I'll take any questions from anybody on the back of that.
Has anybody got any questions, comments?
No, Hugh's answered my question on if there are restrictions on council provided equipment.
Leslie?
Yeah, it was about the 5.3.3 good habits. That would be very useful because I've never heard of sync. So, and I don't know about the rest, whether any of the rest of you have. but I personally wouldn't mind just a basic guide of getting around Outlook. There are some things that I come across and I think, I don't know how this works. And also, I don't know if anybody else had this. I've come across now a slightly different way of signing in that uses a link to your phone rather than the phone. Necessarily, you're having to press various buttons. There's a sort of link and then you're given a number. I don't mind it. I think it's actually easier. But it came as a bit of surprise because I didn't know it existed and it suddenly came up on my screen. And I don't know what it is, but I've got a mental block sometimes about instructions. And there are times when that screen, it was probably fairly clear cut, but it still threw me a bit. And it's things like that. There are little subtle changes that sometimes happen that you don't seem to find out about. You discover it because it's happened rather than being told about it. So I'm not sure whether that's feasible, whether we could have a bit more on that.
I presume that's for Sarah, really.
Yes, yeah, and I think some of the challenges we've got as well is because these come out directly from Microsoft as well. So it's actually not about how we configure Outlook or anything. It's just it comes directly out from Microsoft sometimes, which causes everyone difficulties as well because it can change overnight. And then you come in the morning and you're like, why is this at a different place than it was last night? So I think you're right. What we try and do from the IT perspective is often the staff will put little how-to videos, they upload them onto StaffNet, try and keep them short, but especially where there's significant changes. I think it's just probably flagging where they are as well, so that when there's a significant change. But what I will do is I'll also speak to the team if there's specific areas of training, like you're saying, you know, overall Outlook, see what we can do to help where there's, you know, individual needs arising. Yeah, we can do that.
Right, thank you. Matthew?
Yeah, thanks, Chair. I was just going to say with regards to the PIN, that's all, whether we got to log in. I think that's a security thing as well, is it, for Microsoft? It's not just unique to us. I think it's pretty much everyone. So yeah, you know, I know what you mean. It's like not great that like I've a little bit late today. Apologies, Chair. I've had to do it quickly today now on my phone, rush in, and it's not great. But I think it's better safe than sorry from my perspective, anyway.
Thank you, Bridget.
Thank you, Chair. I know when we were first elected, we had a meeting, an IT meeting in the Civic Centre, and they went through a lot of what was on Outlook with us, which I found really, really useful. And I think really that should be part of like the new package then, when in May now, when everyone gets back in then, is to have that session where they set up everything on your phone, but you know, to go, as you say, Leslie, to go round the Outlook and to see what's in there. I found that really, really helpful.
Thank you. Right. June?
Yeah, I agree with Bridget. I found it helpful, and I'm sure a lot of the new members will. But I have difficulty now getting onto StaffNet on my computer. Great difficulty, and I miss out on a lot then.
Right. Is that Bridget again? No, it's an old hand. Right. The only point I wanted to raise was point 9, the claiming of allowances. I mentioned this to you, Hugh, didn't I?
I was going to come to that.
All right, sorry.
No, that's fine. Just pointing out for some consistency issues. In the next report, we're going to be discussing the Council's Handbook. That's been amended to show that we only require the burden of proof from a councillor that they're in receipt of broadband or a telephone provision on an annual basis. Well, the handbook now says it does it on a twice every 5-year basis. So twice in a 5-year period, I should say. So I will need to amend paragraphs 4.2 on page 13 and paragraph 5.1 on page 14, just to amend when it says councillors provide proof on an annual basis will now read councillors provide proof twice in a 5-year period, and the sentence continues. So I will deal with that when the report goes to council, just for consistency between the two documents and the new rules that I've agreed with internal audit.
Thank you. So we need to agree the recommendations. I propose that we accept the recommendations with the odd amendment that we have here.
Move.
Thank you. Are all those in favour?
Yeah.
Is that everybody? Because I can't see everybody. Is anybody against?
That's a good
better way of doing it.
No, can't tell. Well, nobody shouted up to be against, so I take it everybody's for. We move on to the next item. The review of the councillor's handbook.
Okay, again,
You're again.
to me, thank you very much. This report is aimed to be a one-stop shop for councillors to find the answers to their requirements. I will be honest, over the years, this document is becoming less and less because some of the things we used to cover are no longer relevant. So I've done a review of it again, and that review is set out on page 23 onwards. I've just amended some of the titles of things because legislation has changed, or the IRPW now call things differently. I've amended the rules if the legislation has changed. Nothing significant has been changed in the document other than make it more fit for purpose. There was one area I wanted to raise. I'm just flicking through to it. On page 36, paragraph 9 there, I refer in the policy to both teams in paragraph 1 and paragraph 2 under 9. I'm just saying that I'll amend that to read the Cabinet Office / Democratic Services team, just for absolutely to avoid any confusion going forward, that's all. But other than that, you can see what the track changes suggestions are, and it just reflects what the legislative changes are now, and it modernises our working practices. So nothing further to add to that report.
Right, Leslie, you have your hand up?
Yeah, couple of points. On page 35, number 4, it says you've crossed out the word agendas, and I can understand why. Is that now permanent?
Right, yeah, it is. If you recall, when COVID came about, COVID regs were put in place, meaning that we didn't have to provide hard copies of things. That has since come into Welsh Government through their legislation, which is the Local Government and Elections Act 2021. So we no longer are required to provide agendas. Obviously, if someone has a specific need, we would help, as is right. But the saving, as you can imagine, is huge in our distribution costs. We no longer have to deliver, and we no longer have to print. So that's a massive thing. But of course, if you have any problems, please contact us, and we will find ways to assist. But in the main, we'd always try and find an alternative way rather than printing and delivering.
Right, I totally understand and support the principle, but I mean, as you know, I have a couple that I ask to have a hard copy for various reasons. I'm just wondering if then ought to be in the handbook just some kind of wording to say exceptional circumstances, similar to the fact that in that earlier paragraph you were saying that people cannot have council supplied laptops, etc., except in certain circumstances. Do we not need to add that in?
No, the reason I deliberately left that out, because I didn't want people to be asking for it when they didn't really require it. And the legislation is very clear that it would be provided if requested anyway. And also, under our disability obligations, we would provide if someone needed it. So it's covered by default in that sense. But if you really wanted it, I can put it in. It's not a major problem, but I deliberately left it out because I didn't want everyone to be opening a floodgate asking for things, and you know, because it's almost impossible for me to prove what your need is.
Right. Okay. Yeah. No. Okay. As long as there is that possibility, I don't want anybody to feel they're in a position, for whatever reason, that they cannot have a hard copy if they so wish.
Totally
so
agree.
I just want to make sure that that's, and the other thing that I spotted on number 5.3, it's crossed out currently £5. Well, is there going to be a charge if you go and lose your identity card?
There is a charge if you lose your identity card, and that charge is for councillors as it is for staff. It's exactly the same. As far as I know, it's £5. I deliberately deleted the £5 purely because it could fluctuate, and I didn't want to. I can't imagine it's going to go up from £5. You know, it's purely the cost of the replacement of that card. It's what it costs the authority.
Would it be worth putting that in? I think there needs to be something there to say, it's just anything else, encourage people not to lose their passes.
Well, it reads that a replacement can be ordered at a personal charge to the councillor. All I've taken out is the amount of what that personal charge is.
Sorry, that's fine. It's all right. I didn't read that bit. It's okay. Yeah. Okay. No, I concentrated. I saw the bit crossed out, and yeah, no, that's I think will suffice, unless it becomes a ridiculous cost, in which case I think you've got to spell it out. But £5, £10.
Well, to be honest, I think it's fair to say if this council tried to charge an excessive amount for this, it would be unreasonable as well, wouldn't it? You know, it's got to be just the cost of the replacement of the authority. You know, it wouldn't be any more than that.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Leslie. June, do you want to come in?
Yeah, we can have a lot of new councillors in the next session, and I think I know what he was going to say, but a contact list on 16, we don't want to ring those numbers up to find out who we have to report a complaint to. Are the new councillors going to have a directory of numbers? I know the staff change, but they should be if you want to contact highways, phone this number, blah blah blah, rather than ring 636 00 and ask.
No, fully understand that, and yeah, a lot of work has been done. You know, we've certainly moved away from hard directories because, as you say, officers change and they're quickly out of date and they become more of a problem than they're worth. Huge amount of work has been done with the service units in creating my mind's gone blank, generic email addresses. So, you know, instead of emailing hugh.evans, you'd now be emailing highways@Swansea and waste@Swansea, and these two things we've rolled out, and that avoids if someone's off sick or on leave, that email will still be picked up. So it's very much a digital side in that sense. However, I'm very much aware as councillors get settled in, they start asking for telephone numbers, and departments sometimes give them, sometimes not. It all depends on the service that you're dealing with. So we're not going to provide, but each service unit will always provide something to you. The director gives something appropriate.
With the generic numbers, you don't get an initial response or a quick response like you would if you contacted the person themselves.
I'm told that they respond to them within the 5 working days that the council standard is.
Yeah, but that's not good enough if you want an idea of what's happening. If you can speak to someone, they can say yay or nay, or I'll get back to you. But if you've got to wait 5 days, your resident is not happy.
No, I appreciate they're not happy, but equally, you know, we've got to go through the due process. And as I said, you build up your contacts, because often people go direct to certain officers, and then that officer resigns or retires or moves on. That does cause a problem. So, you know, those are the issues that you're using by phoning officers, is almost bypassing the system that we've put in place deliberately to manage council's expectations and the public's expectations. The emails, if they're not being responded to in a reasonable timescale, then please take it up with the head of service or the director of that area, because that isn't appropriate.
How do you get their contact?
Well, you'd phone CMT, phone the director. You know, those numbers tend to be given out to council directors' numbers for such emergencies. And I can guarantee if you keep phoning the director all the time, they will quickly find a way to address that failure in their area. Yeah.
Yes. Any other comments? Any other questions? No, can't see any hands up. I think we have to vote to accept the recommendations. Oh, Bridget, sorry.
Sorry, Linda. Sorry. Just thinking there on what June was saying, and I'm not sure whether I've only got my phone here, so I can't find it at the moment. But just from what June is saying, in the handbook, would it be a good idea to put like a flow chart with like the directors, and then just underneath them then who to contact, just with just their job title, because we can find that from Outlook then, can't we?
Right. Well, firstly, on Teams, you can already do that.
Yes, I know. Yes, I know. I'm just saying, would it be worth putting it in the handbook, Hugh?
Well, as I'm saying, we're trying to avoid duplication and things going out of date very quickly.
Yes.
So the Teams is the standard, which is kept up to date. So you know, if you look at Teams, you choose, you know, select my name in Teams, and you can quickly see who my manager is and everything.
Exactly.
Really.
I know. It's I find it useful, and I don't have a problem.
Useful,
yeah.
So, you know, but of course, the point you're making is signposting councillors to know that. And I do
exactly. Yes. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Matthew, you put your hand up again.
Yeah. Thanks, Chair. Yeah, just a quick question. Who, you know, the generic emails you mentioned, I've used them a few times, and actually I think they work really well. And as you said, it avoids maybe officers being on leave or sick or so on and so forth. Those generic emails will be in the councillor's handbook?
They won't be in the handbook, but during the induction programme, this information is given out at that time by the departments.
Great. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. As I said, I've used them, and I think I've always had a reply within the time period specified.
Okay. Linda, you're on mute at the moment.
Can you hear me now?
We can now, yes.
Yeah, good. No, I agree with June. I have found difficulties. I have also just sort of phoned, you know, environmental health, texted, and I've got a result. But I do know that when I first got onto the council, there was a flow chart there, and I'm sure that we had it in paper. And I did find it useful, because you do sometimes need to somehow speak to a person. So I can see it both ways, but I think that what Bridget said about having a flow chart would be a good idea. That's all.
Thank you. Anybody else? Oh, no. It's gone. Shall we go back to the recommendations? Would anybody like to propose we accept them?
I propose.
Thank you, Leslie. Second? Thanks, Bridget. Is everyone in favour? Yes, I think we've got right. Okay, thank you. Shall we move on to the last item? Seems to be unanimous. Which is the work plan?
Okay. At the moment, I have nothing to add to the work plan. Obviously, we're keeping things. We're watching what we need to add, but we've done the main work we had to put in place in time for May. No doubt things may step in before then, but at the moment I've got no work plans I need you to consider. Of course, if you've got anything, I can look to bring a report back in due course on that. But obviously I'm always looking for relevant things for you.
Thank you. Thanks, Hugh. June?
Yeah, that'll be the last meeting of the municipal year, won't it, Hugh? And there's nothing in, so it looks as if this may be the last meeting.
Oh, I don't think so. 21st of March, I'm pretty sure I'll have had something by then. Just like early January, sort of 6 weeks away, I have nothing at this stage, or 7 weeks away, I have nothing at this stage. Yeah, but I'm pretty sure I will have something by then.
Yeah. Could I just suggest a roundup of a list of what the committee have done during the past 12 months?
Yeah, well, that was sent to council last month or the month before, setting up the work of the committee. That goes annually. That's only just gone to council.
Yeah, but we've done something else today, which is different. Yeah, it's not added to that.
Yeah, but that's covered in a different annual report. That we report that annually to council, and it's only just gone. So the next one will go to council in July this year.
Yeah, I'm just suggesting that it would be handy for the committee to know before it goes to council what work has been done.
No, it does. That's the point. I would take that report will come to Dem Services in June and then on to council in July or September or August, according to when the times work out.
Or are you asking, June, that you'd like to see a list before the end of this financial year?
Yeah, before I finish.
Yeah. The difficulty with that is we run these on a municipal year term, and I'll be out of sequence with council everything then. And the whole point, I've got a duty to reply annually to council, so I'm trying to stick to the municipal term.
Oh, I'll let you off.
No, I'm just trying to avoid a duplication of reports. I can give it to you. I can put a list together for you. More than happy to do that, but it just seems to take it twice seems a bit silly.
Yes.
On my part, sorry if
it's only headings. It wouldn't be details. Just headings of what's been
done. Okay. Anything else? Or we'll say we'll finish. We'll close. No. Nobody's come up with any suggestions they'd like to see on a future meeting. So I think thank you all for coming this afternoon. That was short and sweet.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.